Please rise for the arrival of the platform party.
The 251st commencement of Brown University, which was convened on the grounds of the Meeting House of the First Baptist Church in America, will now continue. We will begin with the senior orations. The first oration, titled How to Be a Warrior, an Argument for Radical Compassion, will be given by Ruth Scott Miller.
Yahlidu, chu'unaye dininyu. Dena ena kanaga shalkun kenash, Ruth Miller shi'iji. Eko katnen shugu shikaya kilanda, karyang et nena shi'ite. I'm Ruth Miller. I'm a Dena'ina Athabascan, Alaska Native woman from Anchorage, Alaska, and I am the first Alaska Native orator to speak at commencement. I offer a traditional introduction in my native language to welcome past and future generations. First, we must acknowledge that we are on the occupied territory of the Wampanoag and Narragansett peoples, who have protected and cared for this land for millennia. A land acknowledgement is a crucial step in respecting the enduring relationship of Indigenous peoples with their land. But it is not done for reconciliation. It is done for remembrance and uplifting. True to both my Athabascan and Ashkenazi Jewish heritages, I'd like to begin by telling you a story. When I was young, I was afraid of many things. I was terrified that something terrible would happen to my family and I wouldn't be able to save them. My fear kept me up night after night, and therefore it kept my parents up too. Trauma and violence play dark roles in the history of both my peoples, and maybe this echo crept into my mind at night in vulnerable moments. My mom would lie down next to me, put her head close to mine, and firmly tell me, "Ruth, you're being ridiculous. You come from a long line of strong, powerful, resilient Indigenous women. They fought and sacrificed and endured so that you could be here. They were warrior women. I am a warrior woman, and you, Ruth, are a warrior woman. And we all have WW tattooed on our butts. Okay, now you think I'd have noticed this before if it were true. Oh, but they're invisible tattoos, she insisted. In my moments of fear, my mother knew that laughter would strengthen me. And while she has no tattoos yet, everything else she said is true. I was raised to be a warrior woman, but it has taken me time to learn what that means. Often in my time at Brown, I haven't felt like a warrior. Like many of us, I felt tired and weary. I'm stretched too thin, yet never feeling I was doing enough. When one thinks of a warrior, one might think of the hard, the tough, the fierce, someone unrelenting, unyielding, and uncompromising. But I learned that there are many ways to fight for what I believe in, and many weapons to choose from. Sophomore year, I felt I heard the ultimate call to be a warrior for my community. Indigenous people worldwide rallied to the cry of the Ocheti Shakoan, the Standing Rock Sioux. This gathering of water protectors included 11 Brown students. We stood against the environmental and cultural threat of the Dakota Access Pipeline. We celebrated a commitment to the earth and to justice through peaceful gathering using the weapons of community care and deep love. These weapons were considered so threatening that mass media vilified our efforts as violent and radical. But violence was only ever perpetrated by one side. What did make the gathering radical was that we found strength in community so strong that it could not be broken by violence. My time there was fueled by a sense of responsibility, but also at frustration, rage at injustice, and that same crippling anxiety from childhood that there was nothing I could do. I threw everything I had at this fight and found myself burnt out, running on fumes. At that time, I had to drop a deeply influential course, and my professor, Anila Dawitsai, shared the kindest parting words, especially given I was ditching her class. Ruth, she said, pace yourself, because in 40 years, someone else will be doing something terrible, and you've got to fight it as much then as you want to fight it now. I was trying to destroy so much that I was letting myself be destroyed. Now I am leaving Brown with a new idea of how to be a warrior. I will fight with compassion. I will stop thinking of destruction and instead towards reimagining and rebuilding, generating seeds of change and helping them grow, instead of just battling the weeds. Today we meet at a crossroads. The world is passing into our hands, and it is time to decide what kind of world we want to build together for those we will leave it to next. I believe in the words of queer Chicana poet Gloria Anzaldúa, we could be the healing of the wound. At Brown, there are hundreds of warriors devoting time and energy to Providence and beyond, where tutors and mentors, workshop and protest makers, movers and shakers. This moment is to honor the students at Brown, we who are the laborers, we who are the dissidents, the students who sat on the main green to create a new open curriculum 50 years ago, and the students who walked out of class in 1968 and 2018 to advocate for the rights of Black students to be here and be treated fairly. This is for the students who demanded that Columbus Day, named for a perpetrator of genocide, be changed to Indigenous Peoples Day, named for our nation's first and everlasting defenders. But we must also honor the administrative staffers, faculty members, and workers who have been allies and accomplices in creating a more equal, accessible, and ethical environment for learning at Brown. These are the people who fight to improve our school more each year, often in spite of the institution itself. It is truly the work of the student activists, often many of whom already at a disadvantage, who are most often pursuing change within this campus. All of these voices, this collective power, show us that the spark needed for positive change is alive on our campus. But how does that spark become a wildfire? We have had unparalleled opportunities and access here, and now we find ourselves deciding what to do with it. How do we fight for liberation beyond our campus? Self-described Black feminist, lesbian poet, mother warrior Audre Lorde reminds us that the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. Knowledge alone, when used as a weapon, will never be equalizing. Knowledge is liberation when knowledge is exchanged. In Lord's spirit, I challenge us all to abandon the tools of domination and oppression. Today, let's leave behind weapons of exploitation, exclusion, and hubris. Our weapon of resistance instead needs to be radical compassion. Compassion is radical because the times that we live in have made it so. It's radical because we're not often taught that compassion can be a tool. In fact, it is a tool, a weapon, an armor, and a peace offering, all at once. And there are infinite ways to use it. I am going to suggest 3. First, let's be compassionate with each other. It takes courage to be vulnerable, to sit before someone with whom you disagree and open your hearts. Exercising compassion when tempted by bitterness takes the strength of a warrior. Second, let's create communities of compassion, spaces that are safe, patient, and accountable to all people. And that means a deep commitment to inclusion and celebration. Third, let's be compassionate with ourselves. Radical compassion means taking care of ourselves too, so that in 40 years, when someone else is doing something terrible, we've got the energy. And to those who recognize these fights, who have felt the weight of the world's burdens, remember that being joyful is an act of resistance. Laughter is medicine. Class of 2019, I urge you to share yourselves with this world. Our most precious asset, our most coveted strength will always be our empathy. Choosing compassion is not choosing passivity. It is using the strength of our love to overcome hate. Find the potential that comes with kindness, loving, and a resilient spirit that cannot be dissuaded by adversity. After graduating, I will be getting matching traditional tattoos with my mother in a private location. They will remind me of who has fought for me and who I will continue to fight for. We are all warriors, and now we must choose what to fight for and how. May your heart be your strongest armor and your greatest weapon. Congratulations to my fellow warriors, the class of 2019.
Thank you so much. The second oration, titled Uncrossing Borders, will be given by Patricia Rodarte.
I grew up 0.4 miles from the Rio Grande River that divides the United States and Mexico. To be more explicit, I grew up 0.4 miles from the 10-foot steel fence outlining it. The border marking where Ciudad Juarez, Mexico ends and El Paso, Texas begins is strongly surveilled. Despite this, El Paso and Ciudad Juarez are deservingly called sister cities. They share interdependent economies and ancestry. They have constant movement of people across their ports of entry. And their teamwork and making the most delicious foods you'll probably ever taste are what make them familia, a family. Crossing borders is central to my region's identity. When I came to Brown, I knew the merging of two nations in my Mexican-American hometown was the reason I enjoyed high levels of spiciness, unlike my friends. It was also why I could integrate Spanish words into my English sentences. But I thought that for the most part, my time living in the space between the circles of a Venn diagram had come to a close. Being at Brown, however, has been characterized by overlapping worlds. As we come together from different bloodlines and lived experiences, Brown is a borderland similar to the one I call home. At Brown, we cross borders when we stop viewing ourselves as static. We are malleable beings en route to becoming better versions of ourselves. We cross borders when we take our identities into our hands. We learn how those identities interact with and impact the communities that surround us. Life on College Hill has been about grappling with the idea that the DNA in our chromosomes can categorize us. It is up to us to understand the privileges we inherited and their cost. Life on College Hill has been about locating the fences that we and those before us have built. But more importantly, in our lives on College Hill, we have begun to remove these fences. First year at Brown, I was angry. I internalized what differentiated my life as a low-income student and resented what I thought nobody could understand. So I built a wall. I dwelled in my own consuming thoughts, eventually sitting through a 4-hour final exam, only to turn it in completely blank. I returned home disillusioned. I hadn't carried my community on my back. I hadn't done great things. But in the comfort of home, I realized that despite the difficulty of performing at an academic institution like Brown's, I had been trained to cross borders before I arrived throughout my lifetime. The values of hard work, community building, and collaboration I learned from those in the borderland equipped me with the tools to build myself at Brown. Regardless of our achievements as soon-to-be Brown graduates, we must learn from the hard work of those outside the Van Wickle gates. My mother is a Mexican immigrant and a homemaker. Her aching body symbolizes decades of community healing that is often overlooked. My father is a groundskeeper with sun-darkened skin. He gains respect from others only when he uses complex words in carefully crafted arguments. It is people like my parents, those who make up a large proportion of our country and the world, whose resilience we must recognize and aim to understand. It is my mother's fearlessness that taught me to engage in intergenerational networks in ways that no classroom ever has. Mami, te quiero mucho y este honor es para ti. From her, I learned relational skills that guided vulnerable conversations with friends in the staircases of our libraries. These skills will lead communication with my future patients as I become the first medical doctor in my family. Through my father, I found my voice that now literally echoes on campus. To this day, I experience language come to life when he translates legal documents for Spanish-speaking neighbors or interprets healthcare systems for others who are medically uninsured like himself. The calloused hands of those in my community overflow with generosity despite our own financial constraints. The families of first-generation college students, many who are in the audience, transcend barriers every day. I hope you feel great pride as you see your children reaping the fruit of your sacrifices. We arrived at Brown, educated by the paths that led us here. Even on campus, many of the people who have taught us most have not stood in front of us in lecture halls. Whether it's the way Gail greets us when we walk into the ratty, or how Jose does magic tricks with our IDs, we have learned from each other's joy. We have also benefited from great role models. For many of us, one of those role models was Marjorie Conde. Marjorie was the daughter of an El Salvadorian mother and the first in her family to graduate from college in 2018. She pushed boundaries when she used her Brown education to amplify the voices of populations like mine. Marjorie pursued a master's at Brown in hopes of teaching students of color about the power of their own histories. She often encouraged other Latinas to say our names proudly, regardless of how hard those names were to roll off of other people's tongues. And it was a tremendous loss when 5 months ago, Marjorie crossed another border when she lost her life in a tragic accident. Class of 2019, let's continue the work Marjorie started. We can all use our passions to leverage the voices of those who are not in the same positions of power. We hold the responsibility to create spaces for others to speak up and be heard. It is essential that we do this for those who have been and continue to be silenced. We must recognize the privilege of having a place on the main green, protected by fences that often represent exclusivity. The privilege of being surrounded by bright red bricks and grass that is even green in the winter. As we walk through the doors that Brown unlocked for us, let us hold them open for others to follow. At Brown, we have been alongside friends who use algorithms to detect blood flow in the brain, who use transportation routes to study infant health, and who use art as a form of healing. Brown has taught us to practice disciplinary disobedience, to redirect the lines that dictate one field from another and find their point of intersection. We've been called to cross borders, to find the humanity through the lenses of our microscopes, the communities in our codes, and the person in our politics. As we admire our first-year dorms once more and wave goodbye to Bruno the Bear, our goal must be to have conversations with people outside our circles, to share meals with those who don't look like us, who don't talk like us, who don't stand on the same side of the fence. Only then can we transform our degrees into agents of real change. Let's make our futures a borderland too. La lucha sigue y sí se puede. Congratulations, class of 2019.
Thank you, both of you, for amazing speeches. No university is greater than its faculty. At commencement, we recognize valued faculty members in a variety of ways. Those who are new professors, associate professors and senior lecturers, those who are retiring after distinguished service, and those who are being honored for exceptional teaching.
The Board of Fellows has granted the degree of Master of Arts ad eundem to those professors, associate professors, and senior lecturers who hold no other Brown degree, to the end that their names may be carried upon the rolls of the university as honorary alumni.
Candidates for the Masters of Arts ad eundem, please stand. By the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the Masters of Arts degree ad eundem, and I grant to you all rights and privileges pertaining to this degree, wherefore, in testimony of this fact, I will solemnly award these degrees to you after this ceremony. Videte igitur ut probe integrequa in emolumentum rei publicae et in Dei honorum ut decet eos hoc grado honoratos vos geratis. Be seated, Master of Arts ad eundem. Thank you. Now I would like to ask my faculty colleagues who are retiring this year and becoming professors emeriti stand and be applauded. We salute you and thank you for your many years of service. Do we have somebody? I guess no one's retiring this year. I think Kevin will come back. Dean of the faculty, please. I now call on Dean McLaughlin to announce this year's Excellence in Teaching Awards.
At a ceremony last month, the Excellence in Teaching Awards were presented. The awards recognize Brown faculty members for sustained and continued excellence in undergraduate teaching in the humanities, life, physical, and social sciences. I'm going to read the name of each awardee. If you would please stand and be recognized. I'm going to read them in order. The first award is the John Rowe Workman Award for Excellence in Teaching in the Humanities. And this year's award goes to Michelle Clayton, Associate Professor of Hispanic Studies and Associate Professor of Comparative Literature. Congratulations, Michelle. The next award is the Elizabeth Laduke Award for Excellence in Teaching in the Life Sciences. This year's awardee is Diana Horrigan, lecturer in molecular pharmacology, physiology, and biotechnology. The Philip J. Bray Award for Excellence in Teaching in the Physical Sciences is awarded this year to James Vallis, Professor of Physics. And finally, the William G. McLaughlin Award for Excellence in Teaching in the Social Sciences goes to Rose McDermott, David and Mariana Fisher, University Professor of International Relations.
Thank you, Dean McLaughlin. I now call upon the chair of the faculty, Professor Ross Chait, to present the Susan Culver Rosenberger Medal of Honor.
Thank you, Madam President. It is a pleasure to represent the Brown faculty on this joyous occasion when we annually revel in the accomplishments of all our wonderful students. Today, I have the additional honor of conferring an award that the faculty reserves for a select few, the Susan Culver Rosenberger Medal. The citation reads as follows: Thomas J. Tisch, 20th Chancellor of Brown University. You have graced these time-honored walls with loyal devotion, with no desire or request for praise or adulation. As Chancellor, you moderated trustees, stewarded resources, navigated the Great Recession, focused with intensity on academic excellence and interdisciplinary strength, and led an exhaustive and engaging presidential search that brought Christina Paxson to Brunonia's halls. Throughout your 9 years at the helm of the Brown Corporation, you remained steadfast in your commitment to Brown's essential qualities and distinctiveness, while also willing and enabling Brown to aim higher, be better, become an even greater version of itself. And with Alice, your unparalleled philanthropy has transformed the campus and provided perpetual and critical support to faculty, students, and staff for generations yet to rise. You do not seek attention and are happiest sitting unnoticed on a bench under the elms on the college green. Yet the faculty have noticed all that you have done and all that you continue to do for your alma mater. We raise in loud chorus your name and with joyful emotion offer our praise through the highest honor that we can grant, the Susan Culver Rosenberger Medal.
Candidati honorandi nunc veniant. Now let the candidates for honorary degrees come forward.
Madam President, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa, Cheryl Brissett Chapman.
Advocate, public servant, educator, and nonprofit innovator, you have transformed the National Center for Children and Families into a visionary agency for social welfare policy and practice. Your passionate commitment to understanding the experience of the homeless, the poor, the abused, the addicted, and the neglected has anchored an enlightened approach to social work. Lives are reconstructed because of your faith in rigorous research combined with the power of human connection. And for nearly half a century, as a respected leader in the Brown University community, you have been a resident voice for unity and diversity on College Hill, for shining a spotlight on systemic injustices, leading with deep compassion and empathy for the vulnerable, and lifting up others with innovation and intellect. We honor you with the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa. By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, and all rights and privileges pertaining to this degree I give to you. In witness of this, I collegially give you this diploma.
Madam President, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa, Ken Burns.
Storyteller, visual artist, and ethnographer of context, your masterful films, probing American triumph, tragedy, imagination, and discovery, influence the way that we understand history. Your pioneering craftsmanship and technique define the documentary style for generations of viewers. The personalities you bring to life, relatable, immediate, and vital, are versions of us, moved by agency and uncertainty. The achievements you chronicle are potent vessels of national identity and purpose, and the tableaus you unfurl of people assigning meanings to events enlighten us about our collective past. For broadening the aperture of lived American experience, elevating our sense of legacy, and preserving the authenticity of searing historical moments, we honor you with the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa. By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, and all rights and privileges pertaining to this degree I give to you. In witness of this, I collegially give you this diploma.
Madam President, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts, Honoris Causa, John Krasinski.
With the unmistakable ability and charisma to serve as the leading man and the innate qualities to perform as a perfectly matched piece of the character ensemble puzzle, you've established yourself as a star on screen and an inspiring visionary behind the camera. The stories you tell on stage have the ability to make us laugh or cry, and they have showcased the powers of silence. These tales have inspired viewers to look beyond the mundane cubicles of our daily routines and take advantage of the life-changing opportunities sitting feet away, perhaps just beyond the reception desk. Your performances inspire us to sacrifice for others and lead to the greater good. For your ability to craft and share stories that engage the community-building bonds between friends and family, and for your ongoing impact in the arts, we honor you with the degree of Fine Arts, Honoris Causa. By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts, and all rights and privileges pertaining to this degree I give to you. In witness of this, I collegially give you this diploma. You may head. And I think we can all thank John Krasinski for a fantastic baccalaureate yesterday. Thank you so much.
Madam President, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa, Jennifer Ann Richardson.
As a social scientist, creative researcher, teacher, and thought leader, your work expands the boundaries of knowledge on interracial interaction and the living context of diversity. Your inquiries into how groups of people perceive prejudice and inequality reveal important truths about the brain, behavior, and the social psychology of building stronger social bonds. Your compelling research on the power of redemption narratives to deepen appreciation for the consequences of historical wrongdoing offer us pathways for confronting injustice. In a world clamoring for racial healing and cross-cultural understanding, your keen insights into a more mindful pursuit of diverse, cohesive, and just communities is timely and right. For the hope your scholarship inspires, for introducing smart conversations about race, and for framing the challenges of diversity in our democracy, we honor you with the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa. By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters and all rights and privileges pertaining to this degree I give to you. In witness of this, I collegially give you this diploma.
Madam President, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa, David M. Rubenstein.
Through your life's work as a public servant and self-made investment pioneer, you have developed the personal expertise and have been afforded the opportunity to preserve and showcase patriotic landmarks and works of public art that celebrate or have inspired the forging of our nation. The most powerful and influential visionaries will join you in advancing medical research that will enhance life for all of the world's citizens. Your commitment to immediate transformational philanthropy and your leadership on multiple economic forums and international and arts councils has and will continue to inspire your peers to think not only of their personal legacy, but of the ways in which they can positively impact society and alter the economic status and well-being of those most susceptible to hardship and suffering. For advancing philanthropy to unseen heights in America, and for your dedication towards preserving and restoring the monuments that depict our nation's history, we honor you with the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa. By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters and all rights and privileges pertaining to this degree I give to you. In witness of this, I collegially give you this diploma.
Madam President, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa, Joan Wernick Sorenson and Paul Sorenson.
Before I read the citation that goes for both of you, I want to say a few important words about Joan Wernick Sorenson. Among her extraordinary contributions to Brown, Joan is, just this weekend, concluding 12 years of distinguished service as a trustee of the Brown University Corporation. As a leader on the corporation, she's made a tremendous positive difference on behalf of all members of this community. However, most importantly for our graduating students, for many years she's chaired the Committee on Campus Life. And in that role, she has been singularly focused on your education and well-being, fiercely advocating for the best possible experience for all Brown students. So please join me in thanking her for being your champion. Now to Joan and Paul. You are leaders, collaborators, inspirational philanthropists, and agents of social change within the New England and Latin American communities. Through your decades-long volunteer efforts, both at home and abroad, you serve as a beacon for inspiring change makers. You inspire teachers and learners. You advance the lives of young people and provide a voice for the voiceless. You encourage others to be aware of the social, environmental, and economic impacts of their actions. For your inspirational philanthropic and volunteer efforts, providing education and opportunity for the most vulnerable, and as true Brunonians and impactful members of the university community, we honor you with the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Honoris Causa. By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, and all rights and privileges pertaining to this degree I give to you. In witness of this, I collegially give you this diploma. Before we present the degrees, I ask you all join me in recognizing students Christina Belyakova, class of 19, Anthony Bertoli, class of 19, Ted Choi, class of 19, Mariori Kondi, class of 18, M18 19, and Travis Johnson, Brown Trinity, MFA 19, whose lives were tragically cut short. Each were distinguished and honored members of this university and will always live in our hearts. They will receive their posthumous degrees during this ceremony today.
Madam President, I have the honor to present the recipients of the degree of Bachelor of Arts of Brown University.
Bachelor, oh, I didn't ask them to stand yet. Sorry. Bachelor of Arts, please stand. Sorry.
Leila Di Molina will accept her diploma on behalf of the recipients of this degree.
You can stand there. I'll do it. Thank you. Videte igitur ut probe integreque in almentum rei publicae et in Dei honorum ut decet eos hoc grado honoratos vos geratus. Please be seated, Bachelor of Arts. Bachelor of Science, please stand.
Madam President, I have the honor to present the recipients of the degree of Bachelor of Science of Brown University. Carlene Jeffers will accept her diploma on behalf of the recipients of this degree.
Videte igitur in ut probe integreque in emolumentum rei publicae et in Dei honorum ut decet eos hoc grado honoratos vos geratus. Please be seated, Bachelors of Science. Will the combined Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science please stand?
Madam President, I have the honor to present the recipients of the combined degree of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science of Brown University. Patrick Orenstein will accept his diploma on behalf of the recipients of this degree.
Videte igitur ut probe integreque in emolumentum rei publicae et in Dei honorum ut decet eos hoc grado honoratos vos geratus. Please be seated, combined Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science. Now, masters in all disciplines, please stand.
Madam President, the master's degrees were conferred earlier at the graduate school ceremony in Meehan Auditorium. Eunice Celine Gonzalez Sierra will now accept her diploma on behalf of the recipients of this degree.
Videte igitur ut probe integreque in emolumentum rei publicae et in Dei honorum ut decat eos hoc grado honoratos vos geratus. Masters in all disciplines, please be seated. Doctors of medicine, please stand.
Madam President, the Doctor of Medicine degrees were conferred earlier at the Alpert Medical School ceremony in the First Unitarian Church. Alexander Tron will accept his diploma on behalf of the recipients of this degree.
Videte igitur ut probe integreque in emolumentum rei publicae et in Dei honorum ut decat eos hoc grado honoratos vos geratus. Please be seated, doctors of medicine. Doctors of philosophy, please stand.
Madam President, the Doctor of Philosophy degrees were conferred earlier at the graduate school ceremony on Pembroke Field. Jennifer G. Thum will accept her diploma on behalf of all the recipients of this degree.
Videte igitur ut probete integreque in emolumentum rei publicae et in Dei honorum ut decat eos hoc grado honoratos vos geratus. Please be seated, Doctor of Philosophy.
Earlier at the doctoral ceremony, the Horace Mann Medal was awarded to Sharona E. Gordon, who received her undergraduate degree from Brown in 1990 in neurosciences, now neuroscience, and her doctoral degree in 1994 in physiology. The award is given annually to a Brown Graduate School alumnus or alumna who has made significant contributions in his or her field. She is currently professor of physiology and biophysics at the University of Washington, Seattle. Dr. Gordon is interested in the mechanisms by which sensory signals are converted into messages that can be understood by the brain. In addition, in 2018, she founded Below the Waterline, a grassroots organization working to implement the recommendations of the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine report on sexual harassment. Dr. Gordon, please rise and be acknowledged.
Now I ask that the families of students graduating today stand and be applauded. Now I ask that all students who are graduating magna cum laude stand and be applauded. And now I ask that all students graduating today stand and be applauded. We salute you, we congratulate you, and all of us are so proud of you. Congratulations. Please stay standing and join me in singing the Alma Mater. The chaplain will now give the benediction, after which the 251st commencement exercises will be adjourned.
Brunonia, Brunonia, we are next for takeoff. Prepare for flight in skies that need you. Bear bright hope aloft, claim joy, confer dignity. Find truth in the faces of children, and in usefulness and reputation, find the work of life, even justice, certainly mercy. Fly safely from these gates. May your life's migration guide you in season and out in worthy endeavor, and bring you home to this hill. May your journeys, may your dwelling be always in deep peace. Amen.